What does it involve? And why would you want to do it? These are some of the things that I'm going to share with you this morning. The information that I'm going to share with you, in my opinion, has the capability of changing the world. Why do I believe that? Because this information has changed my world. Now, who here has ever suffered in life? You felt fear, experienced loss, emotional pain. We all have, right? Because it's the human condition of suffering, and it's an inevitable part of life that we're all here to experience, right? Or is it? There's a famous Buddhist quote that states, "Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional." And I tend to agree. I don't believe that as human beings we need to suffer. But a world without suffering, it's hard to imagine, right? So let me break it down for you a little bit more. The Buddha said that the root of all suffering is attachment. And I also tend to agree. But what is attachment and where does it come from? It's fear. So we're either we're in fear of losing something that we already have, or we're in fear of gaining something that we don't want. So ultimately our suffering comes from fear, or to be more specific, a disconnect from love. So this concept of returning to love as a way of ending human suffering is something that has been documented in spiritual and biblical texts throughout the years. But how many of you who've read any of these texts actually know how to end your own suffering? How many of you on a conscious level know how to, on a daily basis, return to love and end your suffering? Is this something that you think would be beneficial to know? That's something that I'm going to speak about today. Now, David Hawkins wrote a book called Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. And within that book is a scale of consciousness. Has anyone heard of the scale of consciousness? No. So David came to the conclusion that every single one of the emotions that we feel as human beings can be measured in frequency. So the thought that we live in an energetic universe, everything is made of energy, and everything vibrates at a particular frequency based on the speed at which it's vibrating. And so all of our emotions can also be measured in terms of frequency or vibration. And so I'm just going to draw a basic scale here. So the emotions that sit down the bottom or vibrate at a lower frequency are things like fear, grief, and guilt. And then emotions like excitement, joy, peace sit at the top of the scale. So something like fear would sit here at 100. Depression, down here at 50. And joy sits at 540. Now the emotion that sits right in the middle, here at 500, can anyone have a guess what it is? It's love. Interestingly enough, the vibrational frequency of love is also the same frequency as planet Earth that we live on. Now, what does this have to do with ending human suffering? The further down that we are on this scale away from love, the more it is that we suffer. But it's not only our emotions that we can plot on this scale. As human beings, we're quite complex, right? But for the purpose of today's presentation, I want to keep it simple. So I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. The thoughts, emotions, and behaviors or actions. So that's pretty self-explanatory, but just to clarify. Our thoughts are anything that we think consciously or unconsciously, and also include the beliefs that we have about life. Our emotions are anything that we feel, grief, anticipation, excitement, etc. Our behaviours or our actions are things that we do, but can also include our physical environment, where it is that we live, the people that we associate with, the foods that we eat, etc. Now, as I mentioned, our thoughts, behaviours and emotions can all be plotted on the scale of consciousness. So I want to give you an example. Let's just say I looked at Michael and I thought, Michael is really rude and inconsiderate because he's not always looking at me when I'm speaking. Now, just at a guess, I'm going to say that this thought sits around here on the scale of consciousness. So do I feel good when I think that thought? Not particularly. In fact, the emotion that I probably would feel is irritation or annoyance, which actually sits at 200 here on the scale of emotions. If, however, I had a thought that, you know what, Michael is such a great guy, and I'm so glad that he's here today, all of a sudden I'm back up to here. Why? Because instead of thinking a thought of criticism and judgment, I'm thinking a thought of gratitude and appreciation. And gratitude and appreciation is in line with love. Now, the same thing happens when we look at our behaviours. Just say you walked into the post office this morning and the girl behind the counter didn't greet you with a smile. And your response to that was one of, you treated her with a bit of, rudeness or arrogance, because you thought, well, she should greet me with a smile this morning. But what if you instead went 2 doors down the road to the florist and bought a bunch of flowers because you thought that girl needs a little bit of cheering up today? Every single moment of every single day, we have an opportunity to return to or align with love. And if we want to reduce or end our suffering as human beings, then that is our goal, is to return to love. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am writing a book. The book is not my own thoughts or words. These words are coming from a higher source. The information is new to me, and as I mentioned before, this information is changing my world. And so I want to leave you today with a quote from that book. When you can align your thoughts, emotions, and behaviours with love, you will come to experience